All right, guys. Elon Musk has questioned whether we should have a democracy at all. He thinks that perhaps high status males should be running the republic and the only ones making decision making. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to break it down for you guys and show how preposterous this is. So he quote tweets someone from Autism Capital and says, "Interesting observation." So I'm going to read to you what he thinks is an interesting observation, and let's see if you find it interesting and plausible and noteworthy. Hey, I should promote this to the entire world. This is such an interesting idea. All right, so they say also known as the Reich effect. I don't know what that is, whatever that is. It doesn't sound good. It's not important. What's important is what they wrote in the body of it. So let's break it down. They write people who can't defend themselves physically, women and low T men. Already, this is absurd. Putting in whatever they think is low T men. Is that tested? Is there any data on it? Any analysis? And do low T men agree with women about everything? Only some things. This particular thing. Do you have any studies on it? Of course not. But wait, it's going to get 1,000 times worse. So I'll start from the top again. People who can't defend themselves physically, women and low T men, parse information through a consensus filter as a safety mechanism. No, almost everyone does that. So already we're off to the races with a really invalid, ridiculous point. Not at all interesting. So do people normally look for consensus? Well, there's studies on this. In fact, really famous ones. The Ash conformity experiments, where they show people short lines, long lines, middle lines, and they have everyone else in the study pick the middle line, pretending that it's the longest. And you know what percentage of people at some point pick the shorter line and say that it's longer because everyone else in the room is saying that it's longer? 74%. So, and is it the 74% that are women in low T, but they tested the other 26% and they're all high status males with high degree of T? No, no, totally made up. Our minds are structured to believe that the tribe is right. So you get past it? Yes, you can. In the Ash conformity experiments, the lines are super clear. Even when the line is really long, obviously longer, people say that it's shorter. 74% of people do at some point because that's how our brains are wired. So, okay, so now let's keep going. This person says this makes them very malleable to brute force manufactured consensus. If every screen they look at says the same thing, they will adopt that position because their brain interprets it as everyone in the tribe believing it. Yes, but that's exactly what happens with mainstream media to begin with about every issue. So, for example, before the Iraq War started, they did a poll to see what percentage of Americans thought that Saddam Hussein had personally attacked us on 9/11. Now, let me remind you, he did not. He was a terrible guy, but not only did he not attack us on 9/11, he actually hated Al Qaeda and used to fight out against Al Qaeda. And Al Qaeda is the ones who actually attacked us on 9/11. Well, so that's got to be a small number, right? Because why would people believe that when it isn't anywhere near true? In fact, it's the opposite of true. Well, it turns out it was 69%. 70%, basically 7 out of 10 Americans thought that Saddam Hussein had personally attacked us on 9/11. That's why they were in favor of the war. Now, how did they come to believe that? Because of mainstream media. That's why in my book, Justice is Coming, I call them the Matrix. So they get you to believe things that different corporate donors want you to believe. So in that case, the oil companies, the banks who speculated on it, the defense contractors, and also APAC all wanted that war very, very badly. And that is an enormous amount of influence in American politics. And they convinced 7 out of 10 Americans that Saddam attacked us. If I thought Saddam attacked us, I'd go into Iraq too. And so they tricked people in mass. And they didn't go, oh, let's leave out the high T guys and let's only target low T, whatever the hell that means, and women. Guys, I know what low T means, but not in the way that the right wing uses it. The right wing uses it as like, oh, I'm tougher than you, man. I don't have to think about anything. You're low T. You're all manipulated. That's why I know. I always listen to Elon and Donald Trump, and I do whatever they say. Are you sure you're high T? because you sound like you're a beta listening to these high status males, which we're about to get to in a second. Chatley, thank you for gifting a Young Turks membership. Guys, you know the show's Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Today's Labor Day, so I'm doing a couple of videos for you guys instead. But tomorrow, back at it, weekdays, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're checking out the live show, and I'll try to shout out members and super chats as we go. But not that much more left to go in this insane tweet that Elon Musk thought was such an interesting observation. Trisha Briggs, thank you for the message. Love that you're a member. And I, of course, Trisha, I notice you in the chat all the time when we're doing the live show. All right. So they continue. Only high T alpha males and aneurotypical people, hey autists, are actually free to parse new information with an objective, is this true filter. So the only people who could tell if something is true are people who are autistic and high T alpha males. And when you start getting into this high T alpha talk, you're in right-wing loon world. I'm the alpha and everybody else is lower than me. That's why I should rule. Yeah, okay. You don't sound particularly alpha. And so all this is now total gobbledygook. I mean, we're in la la land now. And why are they saying high status? Oh, wait, I didn't get to high status males. I'm gonna get that's the killer line I'm gonna get to in a second. But high T alpha males and autistic people. Now, Elon Musk is said to be on the spectrum somewhere. So this is catnip for him. He's like, oh, yeah, guys just like me, we're the only ones who know what's true, and everyone else doesn't because they're inferior men and women. What would women know? You think this is an interesting observation? You sound totally nuts. And I didn't get to the worst line yet. Denbub, thank you for being a member. Appreciate it. Thank you for saying we're the best news show on the internet. You know, we do something different. When we're live weekdays, we do actual news, then commentary and analysis. It's actual news show. A lot of people just get on, they take a topic, they don't even fully explain it to you, they just get into their opinions. No, we do a news show, but it comes not like mainstream media with propaganda, but with actual analysis of what's happening in the world and breaking it down on both sides. So we're fair and honest. We were incredibly critical of Biden. We point out what's wrong with Kamala Harris. We point out what's wrong with the corporate Democrats, the corporate Republicans. And we also tell you what's wrong with Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and these knuckleheads here. Because just saying one side is 100% right and the other side is 0% wrong is crazy and obviously incorrect. All right, so we go to now the final line. This is why a republic of high status males is best for decision making. Democratic, but a democracy only for those who are free to think. So, A, not a democracy, but the only people allowed to decide are people who are only males. So there goes all women voters. Elon Musk thought this was an interesting observation. This is a mental observation. So all women not allowed to vote anymore. Okay, all right. I mean, look, Elon Musk is not Donald Trump, but this kind of insane right-wing talking points is what's handing the election to Kamala Harris. So keep going, keep digging if you like, and no one's going to agree to your stupid idea of having only males run the place. And by the way, that's basically what we've been doing. Women have been allowed to vote for the last 100 years, but only the last 100 years because of a constitutional amendment. But all the presidents up until now have been males. And what have they done? Created endless series of wars, endless series of corruption. I'm not saying males shouldn't run or that they shouldn't be allowed to vote like these idiots. Of course we should be allowed to vote. Of course we should be allowed to run. But having said that, we don't have a great track record. Okay. So that's the full context of this. But obviously you should be for equality and have everyone vote. And how are you going to decide? Okay, you've eliminated all women, but how are you going to decide if someone is low T or high T? How are you going to decide? And by T, if you don't know, they mean testosterone. Okay, how are you going to decide if they're alpha or beta? Let me guess. Your high status males are going to make that decision. Who are the high status males? Let me guess. The super rich, like Elon Musk and Donald Trump. So Elon Musk, posing as a populist, is saying only the Lord should rule. Only billionaires like me who are high status males, and perhaps on the spectrum somewhere, only we know what is true, and only we should decide. And you people should know your role. If you're a woman, of course you're not allowed to decide. And if you're what I describe as a beta or low T male, I'm going to call you that because you're not as rich as I am. Know your role, poor people. Know your role, middle class. And you serve me, and you're not allowed to vote anymore. And this is our so-called republic. And then you wonder why the other side says you don't want democracy. Because you just said you don't want democracy. You thought it was an interesting observation that we should kill off democracy as we have it in America and say that only what is a high status male? Rich guys. Only that's how we started in the first place. That only rich guys should be allowed to vote, and the rest of us should be their servants. Yeah, I don't think so, brother. I don't think so at all. And here's what I think. One, you are not anywhere near as smart as people think you are. I get it. SpaceX is a interesting company, a really successful company. You've done some interesting things in your life. Tesla, obviously, stock price through the roof. We'll see what happens with Tesla and then in the end. Twitter and X are a disaster area, dumpster fire. Today in the news, other Twitter stockholders basically saying, what the hell? He destroyed almost all the value of the company. We have almost nothing left. Where's the genius part? So you totally obliterated the value of Twitter. And now he's suing advertisers? You think that's going to bring in more advertisers when you sue them? I mean, even if you don't agree with anything else, that is an awful business strategy, and everyone knows that. That's mental. And we're supposed to let you and only you and your buddies in Silicon Valley, I guess, and the bankers in New York, they're the only ones who get to make decisions. But the thing I find most offensive is them claiming this is populism. No, brother, this ain't populism. It's elitism defined. It's right-wing leaders like Elon Musk and Donald Trump who are the ones who are the most elitist of all. I get to decide what is true. I'm the only one who should be allowed to decide. None of you should even participate because you're not as alpha as I am. I mean, F all the way off. Okay, don't ever call yourself a populist. Don't say you love this country. I don't even know why you came here. If you wanted where only rich white guys ruled, I don't know why you left South Africa. Maybe because they got rid of apartheid and that hurt your feelings. But other than that, I don't know why you would want to live in a country where we all have equal rights, because it looks like you hate the idea of equal rights. Preposterous. So, Three Dot, thank you for the super chat. Jan Luke, thank you for joining. Hit the join button below. Makes a huge difference. Wow, Three Dot, thank you again for the donation. Really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. All right, so tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, like we do every weekday. You're going to love the show live. It's got so much energy and so many things that don't go in the clips. Make sure you're checking it out live. We need a water cooler event where we all get real information from a real news show. That's the Young Turks on YouTube. Make sure you're checking it out 6 p.m. Eastern every day. Thank you for watching this. And we got to make sure to beat these guys because they're making it clear now before the election what their real intent is. And they hate the idea of equality and they hate the idea of democracy. And guess what? That's what America was founded on. So apparently they hate the idea of America.